Welcome to the Positive Pants Podcast. Mindset, motivation, and inspiration to help you find your positive pants. It's time to let go of negative thinking, understand why you do what you do, and stop the self-sabotage with your host, Fran Excel.
Welcome to the show. As always, it's Fran Excel, your resident subconscious success mentor, helping you find your very own pair of positive pants so you can get out of your own way and live a life that you love. If you want to stop sabotaging your own success and let go of the stress, then you are in the right place, my friend. Make sure you download your free Stressed to Success guided meditation at bit.ly/stressed to success as my little gift to you for being here. Please do subscribe, share, review. It really, really helps people that need to hear this message find us, and I so appreciate it. In the show notes, you will also find details of how you can work with me and where you can get your mitts on my meditations, products, and printables. You can also find it through the link in my bio on Instagram, which is my second favorite place to hang out. So please do come join me over there at I'm Fran Excel. Tag me in your takeaways, slide into my DMs. I am here for it. So that is the formalities over, my love. So let's jump into the content. Do you think of looking after your health as a priority, or does it tend to fall to the bottom of the list? This episode is kind of twofold, and you'll see why. I want to talk about how, as business owners, we've kind of been trained into this hustle mentality that puts looking after ourselves way down the list of priorities. But it also encourages us to hide certain things that might be going on in our personal lives for fear of judgment or putting people off. So you'll see why they're linked in a moment. All will become clear. But I feel like they're both important points to make and things to think about. Do you ever get the feeling that when you're creating content or running your business, that you need to hide certain things about yourself? This idea that if people knew, they would judge me or not buy my stuff, or worse, unfollow. Yikes. You know, that can be pretty exhausting, right? Feeling like you're kind of living this double life where you can't fully be yourself. It can massively add to that good old feeling of being an imposter too, because you kind of are being a little bit, right? You're hiding something on purpose because you don't want people to find out. That's not to say everyone should have access to all areas of your life. But if you're intentionally hiding something because you fear people finding out, that's a bit of a different story. And I see it all the time with people at the start of their businesses feeling like they need to hide the fact that they still have a job or that they're only just starting out. And where does that idea come from, really? You know, that you're not good enough if you have a job or if you're new at something. Like, who do you relate to more? The seemingly perfect people out there on the interwebs, the people where everything seems cool, but just something kind of seems off to you and you can't quite put your finger on what, or the people who are taking you on a journey with you, yeah, and being honest about where they're at. I know which one I relate to more, but trust is a big thing in business, and it's something that's harder and harder to find these days. And in my opinion, if somebody judges you for being honest, they're probably not your people. So you may as well just be yourself. It's far less stressful. So recently I had some health news I wasn't expecting. Now you're going to see why I've linked the two. I have stage 2 adrenal burnout, meaning that my poor little adrenal glands have pumped out so much cortisol over the years that they flatlined and they just aren't producing it anymore. Now, when I found this out, which was by accident, there was a split second where I got the results of my Dutch test back, where I was like, oh, yikes. I help people with stress and overwhelm and I'm burned out. Like, that's not great. But actually, now I think it is great because I can bring you along the journey to healing it with me and hopefully inspire you to take better care of yourself before it happens to you. I had the initial, like, how has this happened to me? I meditate, I journal, I use heart math. I'm busy, sure, but I don't feel stressed. I use all the tools. But here's the important part that also weirdly made me feel a little bit better. But the damage had already been done a long time ago. It's easier to go when something like this happens, when you get news like this, it's easy to go, fudge, have I failed at this? Have I got this wrong? I'm human too, but decades of pushing myself in my studies and in my career, always needing to achieve, burning the candle at both ends and always jumping to the next thing and not really recognizing when I need a break or a rest. Plus, if you're into the Enneagram, I'm an Enneagram 6 wing 5, meaning I'm all about the need for safety and planning out every single eventuality, which can be stressful in itself if you aren't aware of it. But they said, I'm actually really surprised you don't feel worse than you do, because in theory, I should kind of want to be asleep all the time. And it might be expected that I feel depressed or anxious or more irritable or lacking focus. But it turns out that the tools and the techniques that I already use have been supporting me somewhat, making me not feel as bad as I could or perhaps should with this. And it also highlighted something that had been low level bugging me recently, which is brain fog. And it's been weird. And I can remember having this at a point in my life before where I have an intolerance to gluten and there was a build up and I would walk into a room and forget why I was there, which now makes so much sense. And I'm very lucky because I am a bit of a productivity ninja and I always know what I'm supposed to be doing in the day. So it also makes sense why I hadn't noticed that fog so much. Yeah. Which is the other thing that got me thinking, how many of us are walking around feeling like the way that we feel is normal, that it doesn't get better? Yeah. This baseline of actually not feeling that great, of being tired, not able to focus, lacking in motivation. And how many of us are also making that a mindset issue or something that's wrong with us on an identity level where it could actually be a health issue. You have to look, this is why I talk so much at the moment around like the mind and the body connection. You have to look at the whole puzzle, not just the pieces in isolation. You can't look at the mind and the body as separate because they're not separate. Your health affects your mind, your body affects your mind affects your body, and your mind can affect your health. What you eat, drink, if you don't drink water and fuel on caffeine, if you eat processed foods versus organic, how much sleep you get, it all has an effect. But you have to look at the whole picture. This is why I talk often about like having my little process of questions to go to before I decide that I'm the fault or the cause of an issue. It's not saying that you have to be perfect at living a wholesome life. Like I'm certainly not, but it means you have more power of choice and it means that you can get better every day. Yeah, I found out about my poor little adrenals now because I have a functional medicine doctor and naturopath, because I know how linked the mind and body are, and it's important to me now. I've always been on the more natural side of things. I'm not a fan of medicating myself. I'm very pro-choice, all of that sort of thing. And I had a complete Dutch test. And I'm also currently having my thyroid tested as well. But it was part of a program that I was doing. So it wasn't something that I actually sought out. So it's a good thing that it happened, right? But your health needs to be a priority. How do you want to feel day to day? What might be causing you to not feel that way? I'm obviously not a health practitioner in any way, so I can't give you any advice, but I can tell you that I'm now on a mission to look after my health in ways that I never have been before. And it's easier than it ever has been before because there's more at stake. I've always taken my health for granted, and I know so many of us do. I've eaten badly, drunk way too much booze in my 20s and early 30s, not exercised enough, and now I have advanced arthritis in my knees, which if you follow me on Instagram, you will have come along my journey there, leaky gut, and a stage 2 adrenal burnout. Yikes! I've been looking after my mind for years, but until recently, I ignored my body for a lot of it, for most of it. But here's the thing, habits are hard to break and start unless you have some major motivation behind it. This is why it's always super important to really, really understand and know why you want to do something. Now I'm looking after myself in ways that I never have before, some small, some big, but here's what I'm doing. I'm concentrating on how I want to feel. And I want to feel able to be present and show up for clients in the best possible way. I always feel good when my skin feels good. So I've been moisturizing daily and turning it into something lovely to do instead of a chore. Like I'm using the fancy stuff, guys. The stuff that you usually keep for best and never gets used, and acknowledging that so many of us do that, but it's actually bonkers when you think about it. Why do we deny ourselves the things that make us feel good, that make us feel fancy? Go light the candle. child about it every single time until now. I gave up at the beginning of June, not touched it, and it's been easy. Eating organic food. To be fair, we were already doing this because it's something that's super important to Tobin as well. But the more I read into it, the more it is important to me. The amount of toxins and nasties that are in our supermarket food and things like that. It's something that we as a couple are pretty passionate about. So, but now it's more of a focus. You know, we buy an organic veg box and organic meat box, and that gets delivered to our door. And I always thought this was going to be a more expensive way to eat, but it's actually working out cheaper. Just in case you want to look up who we're using. We use Abel and Cole, and they deliver us a fruit and veggie box every Monday. It's delightful. And we use Piper's Farm for our meat boxes. You know, it's free range, organic, super important to us, but super important to health. Just go have a Google. I'm also using the Revitative Zappy knee thing that my parents got me after my rather cold, to be fair, diagnosis from one of the top knee experts in the country that I needed to just deal with it. And there was nothing that could be done about my pain until I'm old enough for a double knee replacement, which, by the way, is your 60s usually, and I'm 37. So that wasn't the best, but I'm not accepting that. And I'm researching natural alternatives. I'm taking certain supplements under the direction of my naturopath. I'm researching cookbooks so I can learn to cook healthy whole foods that are still delicious and don't feel like a poor substitute. Right. I'm listening to my body and I'm resting when I need to. I just took 4 days off and I regularly take naps in the day. If you're following me for any amount of time, you'll know I'm a big fan of a power nap. And I'm saying no to opportunities that I would normally say yes to and push myself to do, even though I was super busy and feeling it a little bit. And I'm looking at ways to make my business even more flexible. You know, I'm researching movement classes that I can do without damaging my knees further. You know, I have to accept that there's certain things that I can't do now, but I can do Tai Chi, certain types of yoga, Pilates that isn't boring, Qigong, you know, certain types of dance. And I'm concentrating on finding that thing and experimenting and finding what I actually enjoy. And if ever I was trying to do a diet or lifestyle change before, the focus was usually on losing weight. I wouldn't bother otherwise. It would feel like I'm wasting time and, you know, all this effort and energy for something that I'm not seeing, in inverted commas, the return on. But now it's a far stronger motivation because the ramifications of me continuing down the same path are quite big. It's a lot of pain, a lot of health issues, and I don't want it, you know, and I know it will be so worth it. And I'm sure the LBs will just melt off on their own. Now, it's always been a great thing, because I have a bit of an obsession with well-being, if you don't know, things that make you feel better. And it means I'm going to be able to bring this more into my business. And I love it all, but now it makes perfect sense to include it. I've already got an Amazon link where I've curated a load of my favorite well-being bits and bobs that you can find in my Instagram bio at I'm Fran Excel. I'm an affiliate for the books that I read, products that I use. And I'm so excited at the prospect of combining this with my work in stress and self-sabotage and helping you understand why you do the things that you do, because it is a really important piece of the puzzle. And it's more pieces of the puzzle I get to give you as I research and learn for myself as well. And the bottom line is that thing that you think you need to hide for whatever reason, could it actually help someone if you talked about it? Could it help people like connect with you more on a personal level? Could it help you feel less stress and anxiety and less like a fraud for talking about it? It's worth pondering this stuff, right? There's no point doing this if we feel like we have to hide parts of ourselves. Again, I reiterate, it's not saying that everybody needs an all-access pass to your entire life. But when you feel like you have to or should hide something, there's probably something positive to come out of that. Either it's a lesson that maybe you should be doing what you're doing, or it could be a lesson that actually, if you're honest about it and you're open about it, there's a hell of a lot of people who are going to resonate with you, be in the same situation and go, oh my goodness, like feel that sense of relief that somebody's actually said it out loud. You never know. So like I say, worth pondering, right? So if you got value from this and you know in your gut that now is the time to step up and start rewiring your thinking and start changing things for yourself, then book in a free discovery call so we can work out
what needs to happen to get you from where you're at right now to the action-taking success you know you can be. If you want my eyes and ears on your problems, then I work with people one-on-one and through my programs. You can find all the details to book in a call in the show notes, the link in my bio on Instagram and on my website, franexcel.com. So stop waiting for if and when and choose to change things now, because you 100% can. I am here to believe in you when you don't believe in yourself. And as always, I hope you found this helpful, and I will see you next week. Bye.